growing up, my household for breakfast, what was the thing for breakfast, right? Cereal. Okay. Always cereal. Later on, it became waffles. But before that, it was the reign of cereal.
So you took a little step up. You learned a little bit more cooking skill there.
Right, exactly. I actually threw a toaster in that sequence there. It actually did a little bit of cooking.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than toasting your cereal.
Wait, you mean you didn't cook the milk before you put it in?
I mean, I'd boil it for sure, but you know.
Yeah, so you got to make sure it's sanitized. You got to pasteurize it a second time. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you know, it was always cereal, and the thing that happened was, like, as I got older, I probably hit about middle school or high school, and it got to the point where I'd had just pretty much every sort of cereal there ever was, so many times over.
A bold statement.
Like, I mean, not okay. So obviously, with the exception of like different brands and like knockoff brands and things like that, like cereal gets pretty samey, man. You hit a certain point, and it's like you've had just about every texture cereal has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, and
every taste cereal has to offer.
You can only repackage sugar so many times.
Exactly, sugar and corn, or sugar and wheat, or sugar and what's the other one? Rice. Yeah,
right.
And that's basically all it is. And just like pizza's cheese and wheat, but hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it just got to a point, man, where I was just tired. I was sick of cereal, so that's when I switched to waffles. But you know, as time went on, I went through high school, got into college, and of course, out of budget necessity, and started buying cereal again. But I started to like it because I ended up finding a certain brand of cereal, an organic brand of cereal, that does basically every type of cereal you could possibly want. But it's like $3 a box. It's cheap.
Okay.
And yeah, and honestly, tastes way better. I don't know if it's just comes down to like they use sugar instead of like high fructose corn syrup or something stupid like that. But like just good cereal. I think it's called like Mom's Best Cereal. You get it at like the organic section.
Organic?
But yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah. So apparently it's organic. I mean, obviously it doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy, but it's good. It's good cereal.
I think you're not using the word organic right.
What?
Like organic is like the super healthy cereal. Are you talking like generic?
No, dude, I'm not joking. Like so like the Kroger that I shop at has like the big organic aisles, right?
Uh-huh.
And like all the stuff is labeled organic. And I mean, that cereal is in that aisle and it says organic on it.
Okay. I'll believe you.
I mean, I wouldn't for 1 second believe that it was healthy.
Okay.
Like, so like organic, like just because it's organic doesn't mean it's healthy, right? But like, I don't know, man. So, but I've been buying this cereal. They have like the shredded mini wheats, the Cocoa Rice Krispies, or I don't know if they're closer to Cocoa Rice Krispies or Cocoa Pebbles. Probably more towards Cocoa Pebbles. And then like, what else? They have like their own version of Trix, their own version of like Lucky Charms. So far they've all tasted better than their name brand counterparts.
So let me swing a question at you. What is your favorite archetype of cereal?
My favorite archetype,
you know,
honestly,
like, disregarding the different brands and whatever, just, you know, like,
I think off the top of my head, I want to say like more towards like a rice based cereal. So like a Cocoa Krispies, like a Rice Krispies kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Though then again, I don't really know. Like, I don't know what like Lucky Charms is made out of. Is that like wheat? I
think it's actually made of garbage.
It's made of cardboard.
Yeah.
Cardboard and sugar.
Yeah. I'm partial.
Shavings.
I'm partial to the Frosted Flakes myself. Just corn flakes. You know,
just plain old Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, just plain Frosted. They're so good. It's such a good classic. Like, you don't mess with it. You know.
I mean, that's fair. And you know what I don't get though is like the people that get like the non-sugary cereal, but then they get like the regular sugar and they just like throw spoonfuls of sugar on top of their cereal that doesn't have sugar in it. And it's like, dude, like, no, because then all that's happening is like it's just sitting there at the bottom of your cold milk and you're just drinking a bowl full of milky sugar.
Okay,
sugar filled milk. I don't know.
Here, let me swing another question at you. Okay, this is very important. Are you a milk first or a milk later kind of guy?
Nah, dude, cereal first, milk, and then milk.
Yeah, cereal first and then milk, right?
That's like, how you do. Yeah,
it's universal.
You don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do it the other way, like you either got out of the bed, like the wrong side of the bed that morning, you just fucking forgot, or you're a masochist. Mm-hmm. Like, you just hate everything.
Yeah, so let me throw a curveball at you. One of my roommates does neither. He just eats dry cereal forever. Like for breakfast,
okay,
dry cereal.
like, no matter what kind of cereal it is.
No matter what kind of cereal, he does not put milk.
Does he drink a cup of milk with it?
No, he just gets the dry cereal, and he gets like a spoon with it too. So it's basically like normal cereal.
What in
no
the
milk.
actual fuck?
Yeah, that's so weird,
Like,
right?
why would you like? If I was eating dry cereal, all I would do is like put it in like a solo cup or something and just pour it in my mouth.
Yeah,
That's what I would do.
yeah, or maybe like eat it kind of like almost chips. You know what I mean? Just like grab it out of the bag with your hands every now and then, and just pop a few in your mouth.
Yeah. So like, so there's only ever been like one cereal that I've ever actually went out of my way to eat it dry, and that was I think it's Kellogg's Crave. You know what I'm talking about?
I
It's
think
like
so.
they're like rectangular shaped, and they got like chocolate in the middle.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah. So the thing with those is I don't know if it still is like that anymore, but like I discovered the first time I ate it and I poured milk over them, it got so ridiculously soggy so instantly that like it just was not good. Like it was just like you're eating basically, I don't know, oatmeal. Like that was the texture, like cold oatmeal. Or cold cocoa wheats more so.
Oh, that is gross.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. So like, I would just eat that cereal dry, and then I would drink a cup of milk with it. That's what I would do to compensate, because I enjoyed the cereal because it was chocolatey as fuck and it had lots of sugar in it. But like, you just drink the milk with it, it's fine. But here's the thing though, like that is still kind of weird that he eats just about any cereal for no particular reason other than he just enjoys dry cereal, because usually the only other time you ever see someone eat dry cereal is when they're high off their ass.
Yeah, no, he just likes his normal dry cereal.
That's what I'm saying. Like you see in the movies, dude, when people get high, they're just eating like out of the box of cereal, just like pouring it directly into their mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we need more Fruit Loops. Like,
yeah, I don't know what to tell. It still baffles me to this day. But let's get the show on the road. Hey everyone, welcome to the Tiny Disc Podcast, a show about games and life. I'm your host, Robert Scarpanito, and I'm joined here by Collin Sparling.
hey everybody.
And no Jack Zapato this week. He is off busy this week and will be back hopefully next week to join us on this lovely little podcast. But this week will probably be a shorter episode, sans Jack. So I guess get hype.
Whether or not it'll be shorter, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so I just want to say here at the top, we talked about Castlevania last week, the Netflix Castlevania, and I think at the end of this episode, we're going to do another spoiler cast of the Netflix Castlevania Season 1 4-episode thing.
Yeah, don't worry. Snape just kills Dumbledore like several times.
Wow, spoilers, man. I haven't even finished reading Harry Potter.
I haven't either. That I actually haven't. I'm only halfway through the fourth book, but I've had everything in that series spoiled for me. I'm still reading them.
Yeesh. But yeah, so tune in for that at the end if you're interested. If you've already seen all the Castlevania Netflix series and you're interested in our thoughts, stick around for it. But I think first thing on the docket for us to get kind of into here, Collin, you're a fan of Dragon Ball, right?
To say the least.
So a little bit. You're interested.
I mean, my 9 seasons worth of DVDs, would say I'm pretty interested.
Right. So there's that new Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't really...
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward
the
Fighter.
Z is capitalized. I'm just going to say like it's the separate Z thing because it's called Dragon Ball Z. It's not called Dragon Balls. So...
Yeah, no, I'm leaning toward Fighter Z too. So what's really interesting about this game, right? Okay, so like I've played my share of Dragon Ball games. Obviously most of them fighting games, right? Or like fighting type games.
Of course.
Because that just fits what Dragon Ball is.
Right.
But I like with Dragon Ball Fighter Z, like they announced this at E3, so it's been about like a month or so since we've known about it. It's going to be developed by Arc System, who developed Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. So they're pretty well versed in creating like good anime fighting games, like anime style fighting games. And what they're doing is they're announcing the characters that'll be in the game kind of very slowly, like slowly peeling back the curtain.
Just kind of let them trickle out a little bit, little by little.
Yeah. And that's a thing that like quite a few fighting games tend to do that or something similar to that, whenever they're introducing a new character. And I never thought I'd get hype about it in a Dragon Ball game. Because, before, like, whenever I was going to play, like, Budokai Tenkaichi, I'm like, well, duh, like, Cell's going to be in this game. Like, of course, right? Like,
right, of course.
I'm not looking forward to seeing who's in it because I already expect everyone to be in it. Whereas with this, with Dragon Ball FighterZ, they just announced that Trunks is going to be one of the people, like, one of their lineup characters. I'm like, yo, that's got me stoked. Like, it shouldn't.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, like, so far we've seen, like, especially the art style with this game, it's just, like, almost Persona 5 levels of stylish. Like, it's big on style and just really, somehow they're able to catch the bigness, like, I don't know, like the scale. That's what I was looking for. The scale of, like, the cartoon and, like, the vibe of the cartoon in this 2D fighter, like, really well, and it's really awesome. But they're doing it with, like, a sense of style that we'd only see in, like, a Persona 5 type game or something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think this game, like, looks really cool, and I'm not expecting, like, 100 person roster. There's no way this game's gonna. What?
I mean, this isn't going to be like Tenkaichi 3 levels of roster?
Nah, I mean, I'd hope not. It'd be cool, I guess, to see that, but I feel like it wouldn't be as good of a game.
It'd just be ludicrous.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet this game won't have more than, like, 30 people in the roster, just so every character feels unique.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's so weird, right? That, like, character announcements for a Dragon Ball Z game are finally interesting after, 30 years? 30 years of Dragon Ball. Right?
So many Dragon Ball games.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a series that's been around for a long time.
I heard a statistic a while back. It was, I think I told you this before, but it's some 14 Dragon Ball games are released in Japan every year.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Are we calling 14. In, like, pachinko machines and all that?
I don't know what that's based on, but, like, 14 though. I mean, we get at least one or two here every year, so.
Right, that's true. And most of them aren't that great, to be fair.
No, like, I mean, we basically had Tenkaichi made over and over again up until this point. Yeah. I mean, I guess Xenoverse is slightly different, but...
Yeah, Xenoverse is more of, like, an RPG pretending to be a fighting game.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I honestly didn't have much experience with Xenoverse. I played it, like, local multiplayer one time, and I thought the controls were kind of garbage, personally, but...
Yeah, I mean, I played through Xenoverse 1 a lot, and I think it's fun to play it solo. It's got a lot of good story to it, but playing it multiplayer just isn't fun to me. It's not your, like, let's invite my friends over and play some fighting games kind of a thing to me.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, but the biggest thing about this Dragon Ball FighterZ game is it's the first time we've seen a 2D sort of like arena fighter for Dragon Ball Z since Budokai 3. Even though technically it's like a 3D arena fighter, it's not like you know what I mean? Like, because you can move on the x-axis.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, you move like this way and that way. Like, you can
like
pivot
a left to
back
right
and forth. Yeah, like a left or right. Whereas this is more like a side view, like 2D, like old school Mortal Kombat type view, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, like, we've gotten so tired out, like, we've been so fatigued with all these, like, Tenkaichi type games. Like, ever since we had, like, Tenkaichi 1, Tenkaichi 2, Tenkaichi 3, Raging Blast 1 and 2, like, and then
there was Ultimate Tenkaichi. I'm pretty sure it was like
Ultimate Tenkaichi,
Ultimate Budokai,
Battle of Z. Yeah. There's a couple that I'm missing. Speaking of anime fighting games, this new Naruto game coming out that just kind of, like, the trailer just kind of slipped out there, and now Namco is just like, hey, check out this new Naruto game is coming out.
Yeah.
It's not Ultimate Ninja Storm for the 5th time, 6th, 7th time, whatever. So this Naruto game, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker. So it looks to be some sort of 4v4 fighting game where you're in these very, very oversized arenas, but the difference is not only can you fight each other, you can actually play. It looks like different game modes based on the trailer we watched, right? So they had like Capture the Flag and like King of the Hill and like stuff, gameplay modes like that. That's most of what I could gather. Otherwise, I'm guessing you can just do like, for like a better word, like a death match or something like that, or a brawl where you just take each other on and fight it out.
Yeah, it seemed very objective based, which is something you don't really see that often in shonen video games, right? because I'll be the first to admit that I never really played any of the Naruto fighting games. I never really like caught on to them. I've heard they're pretty fun, but Naruto is just one of those shows that I'm not super duper into.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I Naruto, like, so the cool thing, I think the biggest thing that surprised me about this game is just like the amount, how open like all these arenas are that they're showing off, right? Because I mean, they're literally like jumping on the ground and then running on the walls, like using the chakra grip, whatever they call that jutsu, and like just flying everywhere and just like that, because it's way more open. It's basically, it looks to be like the Tenkaichi to the Naruto games, which we thought like Ultimate Ninja Storm kind of was that, but like it was kind of restrictive. I don't think it was as open, quite as open as the Tenkaichi games were for Dragon Ball Z when they first started.
Right.
Yeah. So I think this is like looking to blow that, like what they wanted to do with Ultimate Ninja Storm, and like blow it up to an even bigger scale, which looks to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, to me it kind of looks like they're throwing in some kind of objectives when it comes to the game, right? And I kind of enjoy that dynamic, like in
Same,
terms
I
of
do too. It's refreshing.
Yeah, like
it's refreshing.
Just thinking about it, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, it's your goal isn't just to beat up Sasuke. It's you know, to like do something about it. Like dealing with Sasuke is part of the fight still, but it's just one small part of it. And you work, if I'm correct here, you work in a team of 4. Right. So it kind of gives me very like Overwatchy vibes, you know, of like it makes me.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna go like quite like a MOBA or something like that, but like,
yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder like if they're gonna go the route where like these characters are like more support type characters and these characters are DPS, or
yes, then I think they mentioned that in the trailer. They're like, this is gonna be more of like an attack character. This is gonna be more of a support character.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So I think they are gonna have that. I don't know if they're gonna do like like go as far as like having like a medic or a tank or something like that, but there's definitely going to be some of those elements in there of like kind of strategizing and figure out how you want to build your team and have it built in an effective way that's going to get you to your goal.
What if this is the next big esport?
Oh my god!
I can't
Naruto the esport.
I can't even say that seriously.
Right. But on a side note, like I know you haven't seen much of Naruto, but it actually might be worth it for you if you're interested, like even somewhat in the anime. So they're coming out with the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy Collection, which has...
That's a lot of words.
I know, right? So it's Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 4, all like HD remastered for PS4. And why that's cool is it basically, like the story mode will basically give you like the entire story of the anime, like all the way through.
So I get to play as Naruto the whole way through.
Right. Well, the cool thing is like you get to watch the cutscenes. The cutscenes are the best part of those games for me. So because like they basically have the game like in engine, but they completely recreate the anime in the game engine. So you're basically watching the anime in the cutscenes.
That's actually kind of cool.
It's actually really nice looking, because especially since some of the animation in the anime can be kind of hairy sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it's like oh, this is like basically a Naruto extended movie, like it's what it is. So honestly, like it might be kind of worth it for that. The only thing that sucks is I think they're putting like an $80 price tag on it since it's 4 games in one.
Eesh.
So, but every game comes with all of its DLC. So I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're like really into Naruto, or like you want to really get into Naruto, that might be a starting point, I guess. But
yeah, honestly, it could be. I don't know. I don't think it takes that long to get through all the story modes. So if you're interested, it might be a good way to experience it.
Yeah, but at the same time, like Crunchyroll's only like $7 a month. I'm pretty sure they have all
Fair
Naruto
enough.
on there. You know,
fair enough. Yeah, but then you have to wait through all the filler.
That's true, but it's might be a cheaper alternative. But let's move on to our next section here. What have you been playing recently, Collin?
So I've been playing through Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, which is this is my first experience with Final Fantasy XII. I did have a PS2 growing up, but I never actually got into Final Fantasy XII in particular.
Did you play any other of the PS2 Final Fantasies? Well,
I did play Final Fantasy X.
Okay.
But that wasn't until way later, because that's when I actually got a PS2 for like a second or third time. But that's like after I started actually collecting.
Right.
And then so I got Final Fantasy X, and I got like 25 hours in, and then I stopped because I heard they were doing like a remaster at the time. So I just waited to get that.
Gotcha.
And so and I still haven't beaten Final Fantasy X, by the way.
That's kind of a shame, but what can you do?
I'll get to it. I'll get to it
in that mythical backlog.
Right, just like everything else, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like so far, Final Fantasy XII, like as a PS2 game, it holds up really well, like graphically. The world building is really nice. The cutscenes are very well done. So the speaking of the cutscenes, what's really kind of off-putting about the cutscenes in this game is when you're watching them, there's like, I thought I had like all my like resolution and everything set up right, but there's a black bar like at the bottom of the screen, like at all times through all the cutscenes, all of them. And
do they put subtitles down there?
So I was sitting, because I didn't have the subtitles turned on, so I was like, why is that there? And it was just kind of like chilling there. And I thought it was something to do with, because I just got a 4K TV, so I thought it was something to do with like the resolution being messed up or something like that. Like I didn't have the screen size or screen position fixed to the right size. And then I was like, wait. So, because when I got into the actual in-game, like the HUD was like fine. Like the proportions for the actual in-game stuff was fine. So when I got to a cutscene again, it did it again. So I turned on the subtitles, and lo and behold, that's where the subtitles go. I don't know why they would go out of their way to put a whole black box there, though.
Yeah, that's kind of an odd choice. But so, okay, how many hours into this game are you?
So I'm still not terribly far. I'm probably only like 7 or 8 hours in, but I feel like I've like at least experienced enough of the gameplay to get a general idea of how it goes. Obviously, I haven't gotten like so deep in it that like I know every bit about it, but I have the general gist. It's so the combat is interesting. It's different than probably any other game that I've played. I think the closest thing that I've ever played to something like that is like Xenoblade Chronicles. So it's kind of like
it's
like
real
you hit
time.
the button and yeah, so it is, but it's not. So like, you know, when you hit the attack in like Xenoblade Chronicles, it like pauses, then you hit the attack, and then it attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And like it just kind of auto attacks as you're picking out what attacks you want to do next.
Yeah.
Kind of the same. Yeah. So kind of the same idea, but like when you hit X, like a menu pops up, everything, like all the action pauses, hit the attack button, and then it'll show a list of all the enemies that are in front of you. And then you choose which enemy that's closest to you or whatever enemy that you think is causing the most damage and you want to get rid of first. And then you go towards that enemy. Like you have to manually walk towards that enemy and make sure you're close enough to it to actually start swinging your sword at it. But then it just auto attacks from there. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, so that's how that works. And then like as you're doing that, you just kind of keep track and micromanage what you and most of your party is doing. And then you have like, of course, your magic and your techniques and your items, and you just kind of like pop those in as you keep like auto attacking. Essentially,
it sounds very MMO like.
It is, honestly, it is. Yeah, because I guess Xenoblade kind of plays like an MMO now that I think about it. But yeah, it is a lot like that. The coolest thing about it though is like they make it easy to micromanage your AI companions by giving you these things called gambits, which is like you just go in the menu and you can go to the gambits menu, and you can basically pre-program certain actions for your companions to perform in case of like a certain situation. So like say, ally under 70% health, use potion on them. Basically, like those type of commands.
Different strategies, basically.
Yeah, so it's really basic programming. Like if this, then this kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can actually turn those on and off via your like basic combat menu, which is pretty nice. So like say if you're in combat and then you're like, shit, this is getting too tough, then you can get the hell out of there, and you just turn your gambits off to make everyone else stop what they're doing. You get the hell out. So yeah, that's like kind of like the gist of the combat, and of course like you have your big magic spells, and like they're still huge and over the top and everything else. I think the thing that's impressed me so much, or like the most about the game so far though, is definitely the like the scale of the story. The story has a very political and like political story, and the world itself is very large, and it feels like it's very lived in, which is cool. And like there's all kinds of different races. The cities feel like they're like hustling and bustling cities. Like there's always things going on. There's tons of NPCs to talk to and kind of get an idea of what's going on politically in the city or the city. And I don't want to spoil like any of the story. And honestly, I'm not far enough to understand too much of what's going on myself so far.
Right. Well, so
but it seems like it's going to turn into a pretty sweet thing.
yeah, so this game it's not, one of the most celebrated Final Fantasy games. Whenever I think of most celebrated, it's usually like 7 and 10, right? Those are probably the biggest ones. 9 also making some kind of like some special appearances, and 6 as well being very beloved.
Yeah, 6, 7, 9, and sometimes 10 is what I usually hear about.
Yeah. And you don't really hear as much, not really public per se, but Final Fantasy XII doesn't get as much fanfare, I think. Like, it does have its it has its community, right? It has
it definitely does. It's a lot of people describe it as one of the more polarizing games. Like, some people absolutely love it, while other people like fucking hate the game.
Yeah, like if you go up to someone and ask them what their favorite Final Fantasy game is, you're not likely going to hear 12. You're likely going to hear like 7 or 10 or 6.
Right.
Depending probably like on their generation and whatever. And I've actually never played Final Fantasy XII, and I've only recently played Final Fantasy X for the first time. So let me see here. So you said you have played 10, right?
Yeah, so I've played 10, 7, and 15, and a tiny bit of 6.
Okay, so
that's it.
If I remember right here, 10 and 12 were the only two on the PS2, right? I mean, there was also 11, but that was an MMO. So
yes, yeah, right. And well, with the exception of like the spin-off games, but
we don't talk about Final Fantasy X too.
Yeah, that too. I forgot about that one, but I was thinking like, well, I don't know if was Crystal Chronicles or any of that shit on there. I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah, Crystal Chronicles Tactics something or other, maybe. I don't know.
Right. But I mean, it does speak volumes, the fact that Square Enix thought that remastering Final Fantasy X twice before they remastered 12, like they made 10 more of a priority. I think that's fair to say, right? So
I mean,
so do you think like that was kind of a disservice based on how much you played with 12 so far?
I don't know, like, because my theory behind that would just be the fact that like just 10 came first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but 7 also came first, and the remaster of that isn't even out yet. Whether it will ever be out.
Fair point. Yeah, you got me there. But the thing, like, they can't just do like just a remaster job for something like 7, though. It would have to be from the ground up. Because the thing is, PS2 graphics are kind of like they're just above that edge of like, oh, hey, we can just get away with upping the resolution a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And cleaning it up, but otherwise we don't have to really do much to it. Whereas something like Final Fantasy VII, you'd have to completely revamp it, because nowadays people are like, holy shit, that's so ugly.
Yeah, probably one of the ugliest generations of gaming.
Yeah,
sure.
They would have to at least give us something like the Resident Evil remake treatment or something.
Right.
But I digress. Anyway, another theory would be also like Final Fantasy X was revolutionary because it basically came out way closer to like the launch of the PS2, right? And it was the first time people had ever seen graphics like that, and ever seen cutscenes like that amazing,
right?
Because it was a new console with like DVD capacity on their discs and things like that. So that could be why. That's why it's more notable. Because then you look at 12, which came out in 06, I think, in the twilight years of the PS2 era. So I think that could be a big reason why. And Final Fantasy XII is definitely way more experimental. It doesn't have the traditional turn-based battle system. It's they're kind of like, hey, we're gonna try something new. And a lot of people really liked it. A lot of people really loved the world, and other people really hated it because it just didn't feel like Final Fantasy, even less like Final Fantasy than 10 did.
Right.
In a traditional sense, but I don't know. Like the gameplay itself, I don't know if I quite know how to feel about it yet. I guess I don't know if I've had enough experience with it, like, because I think my first initial impression of it was kind of like, oh, I don't know, like this is kind of like it's a little too hands off for me personally, because because you're just kind of sitting there and waiting for your guy to finish killing this thing and then moving on to the next one. Obviously, when you get more allies, it gets more complicated. You fight bigger enemies. You learn more skills. Just like anything else, as the game progresses, things get more complicated. Things get more fun.
Right.
But it's not quite as. I don't think right off the bat I would say it's as fun as something like Xenoblade Chronicles, because Xenoblade Chronicles is like, you're auto attacking, but you're also using like backslash and then topple or something like that. You're using topple and then doing like major damage and you're going for that crit, right? So you have like a certain routine or whatever, and you have like these like a certain thing you're trying to do to like execute a massive amount of damage. And I don't know if I've just not gotten far enough, but like Final Fantasy XII doesn't really have something like that, so it doesn't really keep me as excited. But I will say, so here's the saving grace though of this remaster. And I did confirm that it's only in the remaster. So on in the Zodiac Age, if you press the L1 button, it gives you a fast forward option.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice.
Literally every like your character moves twice as fast, and like everything, the entire world like just moves twice as fast, and your combat goes twice as fast. Everything just goes twice as fast because in that game, obviously auto attacking takes for fucking ever. Like your hit rate is just so slow.
Right.
And on top of that, you're covering a lot of ground like all the time. You're doing a lot of backtracking because there's just not a whole lot of fast traveling. So that's a saving grace. And on top of that, like to make it even better, if you hold L1 and press the right on the D-pad, it actually goes to 4 times speed.
Yeah, that's
which is
useful.
Yeah, so that at that point it's just ridiculously fast, and sometimes you lose track of where you're at in battle and then you just die because you just took too much damage. But it's super useful with how much backtracking, and honestly it probably cuts about a quarter off your gameplay, if not more.
I mean, Final Fantasy X's remaster did the same thing, which I was very grateful for. I think it helped out the game a lot.
Final Fantasy X did?
Well, the remaster of it, yeah.
Wait, there's a fast forward button?
Yeah, they added a fast forward. It might have been only on the PC version, maybe, but I know for a fact there was one there for the PC version.
I don't remember that. Unless I just didn't know about it. Because they don't really tell you about it in Final Fantasy 12. At least I don't remember them doing it. I just kind of discovered it when I was hitting all the buttons.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean, you still obviously have many upon many hours to go through in Final Fantasy XII if you decide to beat it.
Right. I was playing a lot of other things before I even started playing that, but I mean, it's definitely like the world's kept me interested more than anything, and that's the most important thing when it comes to JRPGs for sure.
Yeah, it's good. I kind of want to talk about a game I've been playing, which is also a Final Fantasy game. Fun fact.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So for some reason, I have had this itch to play an MMO, and I can't explain why. I'm not a big MMO player. Like when I played like a 2-week trial of WoW back in the day, and I was like, wow, this is boring.
That's funny because I had the same experience.
Yeah. And I tested out a few like free to play MMOs, like, throughout high school and stuff, especially like Korean ones. I played a little bit of Invictus recently, and, it's been like,
I played Vindictus for a while.
Yeah. I mean, last time I played Vindictus was like months ago. But yeah, I'm not a big MMO player. Like, I don't get into it. I don't look forward to that level 99 end game or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, recently I've been feeling like I kind of want to play an MMO. So I've been toying with the idea of jumping into Final Fantasy XIV, and finally decided to do it because I found out that they have a free trial where you can play the game for free up to level like 35. Yeah, so it's not even like time based. I can take my sweet time getting to level 25. And within a 5 or so days of playing, I have put more than 20 hours into it, and I am sitting pretty at level 25.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. It's actually way funner than I thought it'd be. And I took the time to think to myself, like, what is it about Final Fantasy XIV that I'm really like wanting, like what keeps me coming back? And
probably because it's not funner, it's actually more fun, because funner isn't a word, Robert.
It is in my world. But I think the reason I keep coming back to it isn't that it does one thing very well. It's just that it does all of the MMO systems just, like it does a really decent job at all of it. Like all the combat feels good. And
is it action-y or is it more like auto attacky WoW type?
It's
combat.
Auto attacky WoW combat. You right click something and you walk up to it and start punching it, and then you have like your skills that you've hotbarred, and you just unleash those skills.
They all have like whatever. Yeah, they all have like the crazy cooldowns and all that stuff.
Yeah, all about managing your cooldowns. Like obviously I'm nowhere near end game, so like I don't have a lot of managing to do per se.
Right.
I decided to play the monk pugilist class, which does have like a combo with your skills, and that's like probably the most complex it's gotten for me so far. But I've kept coming back to it. I can't tell you why, but it's pretty solid. And I'm starting to get a little afraid because I feel like I might buy into it after I hit the level cap. And it's a subscription MMO too, so it's like that's just not good. That's a lot of money.
No, back away, Robert. Yeah. Back away.
I mean, to be fair, it's successful for a reason, right? I think it's the second highest selling subscription based MMO, and that's tough to do when WoW exists. WoW is still number one, sure. But it's you don't think that another MMO could succeed with a subscription based policy, and yet Final Fantasy XIV is swimming very well right now.
Yeah, honestly, every time I've seen one of my buddies play it, it's always looked pretty appealing, to the eye, of course. Mm-hmm. And it looked like it was fun. Are you playing solo right now?
Yeah, I'm playing it solo. So what they do in the trial, they kind of gimp you, so you can't make friends. You cannot add anyone to your friends list. You cannot party up unless someone who actually owns the game invites you to their party, but they can't friend you.
Lame.
Yeah, it's purely meant to be you experience the game to see if you're into the game, and I'm sure that it's also their way of kind of curbing real money trading and stuff like that. So I've been playing solo for the most part. There are occasional times where the quest calls for use this system to matchmake and party up and do this instance dungeon, which is kind of annoying because at lower levels not many people are doing it, so sometimes the queuing takes a while. You're just kind of sitting there for literally more than 15 minutes just waiting for 3 other people. Yeah, so that's a little bit annoying. Definitely something I think would be alleviated once you if you buy the game and you can actually make friends in the game. So you can call up hey, healer friend, join my party so I can do this thing real quick, please. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, medic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, I definitely think it looks cool, but I've always been kind of afraid to get into an MMO. Not that I've never really found one that I've gotten insanely into. I've tried RuneScape, I've tried WoW, I tried Vindictus. I think I've tried a few more than that too that I don't really remember. But I never really found out a particular one that I ever got really into. I think the one I tried the hardest to get into was Lord of the Rings Online, because it was Lord of the Rings.
Right.
But it was not Lord of the Rings Online was it's not bad, it's just pretty meh. It's just not great. There's nothing there to keep you going. Oh, Elder Scrolls Online too, I forgot about that one. I was actually a beta tester for that one.
I tried the beta test for that one and it was perfectly okay. I've heard it's gotten better since then.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just I don't know. Me and my friend played it one night. It was just are we just doing fetch quests? Just endless amounts of fetch quests? Because that's what it felt like.
Welcome to MMOs. That's all I've been doing in Final Fantasy XIV.
Dude, that's all it feels like, and it's it just gets annoying. It's okay, go here, grab this thing, now bring it back, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then auto attack shit on the way there. And it's I don't know, man. I guess I don't quite see the appeal.
I think one of the things that appeals to me the most with 14, compared to other MMOs, is when you choose a character in a class, you're stuck with that class forever unless you create a new character. Mm-hmm. With Final Fantasy XIV, you can actually change your class on the fly. Whenever you want, you just change what weapon you have equipped, and it changes what your class is. Now, granted, you're going to take penalties, because if you start the game as say a warrior, a gladiator type, you get that thing up to level 30, and then you decide, hey, I also want to be a conjurer or a healer class. You can do a little quest that lets you switch to your healer class, but the healer class starts at level 1, and you have to train that class back up to to get to level 30 if you want to switch to the warrior, from the warrior to the healer with minimal losing your stats and stuff, if that makes sense. So you'd still be training each class up from 0, but you don't need to change your character to change your class, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but I don't know, how much of a point is there in that though? Is it just kind of you're keeping the appearance of your previous character and that's about it, or?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of pretty much it. Certain characters based on your race give you small bonuses to your strength or your dex or something like that. Okay, so technically some classes will be better for others. I just think it's more it's cool that you know, you can basically create your own Dovahkiin, you know what I mean? Like that one character that can do everything.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Right. Obviously it'll take a lot of work. Like I imagine it'd take months of grinding to get every class up to the highest level, you know? But the fact that you can do that with one character, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool. You know what's funny is like I was because you mentioned Final Fantasy XI earlier too, right? The MMO,
right?
And there one of the YouTubers I follow is like he was like hugely addicted into that game when it dropped, like to the point where he would play like 8 to 12 hours a day for weeks on end. Yeah, it was rough. But anyway, apparently I heard that game like the servers are still up, and apparently the game is still really good from what I've been hearing.
Really?
So like. Yeah, I guess I didn't even know it was still relevant, but I guess it still has a huge player base. So that's cool. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, you know, thinking of Final Fantasy and like where it started, you know, like on the NES, all the way up to like nowadays we have like massively multiplayer games, and we have cup noodles in our Final Fantasy and our Audi R8s.
This episode of Final Fantasy was supported by cup noodles.
Yeah, and what was the other thing that I saw? It was like some sort of credit card company I saw in Final Fantasy 15 too. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, I don't know.
Dude, it's like because you walk up to the stores and it has
like
Capital. I think it's Capital One, maybe.
Oh, really?
Or something like that. Yeah, Jeez. like just pay attention when you walk into the storefronts.
I must have missed
that.
But
yeah, like but speaking of like, you know, older video games, one of the oldest, you know, one of the biggest retro names in video games is making a comeback. Robert, what the fuck is the Ataribox?
I don't know. I'd like to ask everyone in the world that question. Like, what in the actual fuck is the Ataribox? Like, what is this? Okay, so Atari, one of video gaming legends, right? In terms of like the creation of video games. Like they're back. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's cool.
Remember, Robert, they're only back to promote the new Blade Runner. It's fine.
Fair. So they're back again. They've repatented themselves or whatever. They've recopyrighted or something, and they're releasing small details about this thing called the Ataribox, which is like this mini. It looks like a mini Atari 2600.
Yes, but with no cartridge slot.
Yeah, it has like 4 USBs, an HDMI port, and I want to say an Ethernet. Maybe there's
or
Ethernet.
Is it Ethernet?
I want to say there is. Oh no, an SD card slot, not even Ethernet.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think the only details they've released is like one, pictures of it. So there's like a wooden version, and then like this sleek red version, like black and red version.
Yeah, I don't know which version I like more, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I mean, the wood one has that retro feel, right?
Yeah, but the black and red would look slick as hell, and it looks like it's trying to promote the new Blade Runner, though.
It really does. It looks straight out of Blade Runner, man.
It really does.
But yeah, and the only other details we have is that it's meant to play classic games and like current content, whatever that means.
Yeah, and current game content, like what is that? Like Twitch streaming?
I don't know.
Like Android-based games? Like, is it going to be an Ouya?
Well, because right now this seems like it's trying to hit the NES Classic, SNES Classic market, like that.
Dude, I wonder if the controller's going to have a light bar. And then Atari's like, this is the only controller in the market with the light bar. Like, what other controller have you seen done that? The PS4 has a controller that does that.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, there's a reason Ouya is obviously the most successful console on the planet.
Of course, because it's got a fan on the inside.
Of course. No other console or PC in the world, for that matter, thought of, hey, let's put a fan in there. No, but like back to the Ataribox, man. I look at it and I think like, I guess that's cool, but like there isn't as much nostalgia for old school Atari, because that's like old. That's older than the Nintendo, you know?
All right, and it's honestly like, even a lot of retro gamers would be like, yeah, it's a little too archaic for me.
Yeah, I mean, because this was like this was 70s, 80s, right?
Yeah, yes,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when
77, I think 2600 came out in 77,
something like that. And when
77.
When I look at this, I think classic games. Okay, I guess that's cool. I mean, I can't bang on it because I think it's cool that the NES Classic and SNES Classic are coming out to do that same thing. But when I think of current content, I'm just thinking like, what? Like, I can't wait to play that new Atari game. Like, Atari hasn't released a new game in years. You know?
I mean, they have been a publishing company though for a while.
They have, but like, I can't think of anything that they've done recently where I'm like, I can't wait to get this one console to play their games.
Oh yeah, for sure. They haven't released a console since '94 with the Jaguar.
Yeah.
So, oh, by the way, 1977 was when the 2600 came out.
Gotcha.
October of that year. $200.
Wow, that's a steal.
For that Atari, you play your shitty version of Pac-Man on.
Yeah. But no, it's just, I don't know. It seems, because I guess calling this a console isn't fair. I don't think it's going for that console market.
No, it's definitely not going to be like up there with the PS4 or Xbox One or anything like that.
Yeah.
It would be stupid if it was trying to do that. It's instant death.
Yeah, and I don't get what they're doing, because what they're doing is bad. What they're doing is dumb from a marketing standpoint, in my opinion, because you have to build up a lot of credos to have to do this whole, like, we're going to give you morsels of information, like bit by bit. You know what I mean? Like, Nintendo can get away with that. Marvel can get away with that.
It's like they're doing a Kickstarter without doing a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. It's like, so we're going to listen to your feedback and listen to what you have to say, and we're going to trickle out morsels of information as this thing gets developed, because we don't even have this thing fully finished yet. This kind of almost reminds me of I don't know if you followed the story about the Coleco chameleon at all. Have you heard about this?
Like old school, right?
So the ColecoVision, right?
Yeah.
So this company, they're this group of people. I can't remember the exact story. I'm a little shaky on it, but I have to read up on it again. Anyway, like, this company or group of people bought up the name Coleco, right? And claimed that they were going to come out with a brand new, like, retro type console and call it the Coleco Chameleon. And so you looked at this thing, right? And they had it like at a bunch of like retro expos. And it was like a clear shell that was it almost had like the shape of an Atari Jaguar, but if the shell of it was clear.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, it was actually running a bunch of retro games on it. Well, turns out that the demos that they were doing at all these shows, showing off this quote-unquote new retro console, it was the guts of an SNES 2 that they had taken out of its shell and inserted into this other shell. And then they had it was an SNES EverDrive in the cartridge slot running games.
Interesting.
So they basically faked the development of this console to try to make a buck, and they got thousands of dollars on Kickstarter or GoFundMe or wherever it was.
Are you implying that Atari's trying to do the same thing?
I'm not saying they're trying to do the same thing, but it kind of like, okay, we're going to give you more details as it trickles out sort of thing. Like, as we're developing it, it's kind of like not quite as shaky, not quite as shady, because they're not begging for money, obviously. Because, I mean, Atari still has all that money from publishing so many games over the years.
Right.
But, like, it definitely has the potential to be somewhere in that ballpark, I guess. And not that I want it to go there, of course. I want it to be a really cool thing. But we're just going to have to learn more about it before we can say anything more, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, the thing is, I want it to be a cool thing, but I can't picture in my head what it has to do or what it has to be a cool thing. You know what I mean? I just look at it and think, like, that looks like something I just fit in my pocket and walk around with it because it's cool. Like, there's nothing.
Right. Like, they're not quite trying to pitch this as like an NES classic. So they're making it a little bit more, or like a little bit less throwaway than something like that. They're not just making it. It doesn't seem like it's just going to be like a ROM console. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be something that has ROMs on it or something, but like something more beyond that. So it's, I don't know, is it going to be like a ROM console fused with what an Ouya could do, or is it going to be like a streaming box? Like, can you stream games? Or is it going to be like a Steam Link? I don't know. Who knows? Like
the Steam Link for my Atari 2600, so I don't need to carry it downstairs to play it in the living room. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. God, I don't know. I look at this thing and I just think to myself, like, what's it doing here? Atari is, like, not to attack Atari in any way, because what they've done for the gaming industry is magnificent and spectacular back in its heyday, for sure. But now it just feel like they're trying to give themselves this place in the modern gaming industry that I don't think they've earned, you know? Because, like, this would be
kind of silently publishing games, and now they're like, hey,
this would be like if Nintendo stopped publishing, like in the 90s, like the SNES was a failure and they just like stopped, and then they just suddenly came back and like, guys, do you want an NES classic? And it's like, no. Right?
That's exactly what I'm thinking too. Is like, I think they're just kind of trying to ride that wave of like what the NES and SNES classic and the Sega Genesis flashback we're trying to ride on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, they're just gonna come out and like, we're gonna, hey, like, you know, you older people remember Atari, right? Like, hey, this is the NES classic treatment for your Atari, but it looks just a little bit more fancier than that. So I think I don't know, it looks a little bit more expensive. So it's got to be able to do something that like special that we don't know about yet. Yeah. I mean, or at least we can hope.
Yeah, no, this thing will cook for you. When you buy it, it will do all your chores. It'll pick up after you.
I mean, it's got that grill shape going on, dude. You could
grill burgers on it.
You could grill that burgers in like that fucking really weird angular shape that it's got going on.
Oh yeah, you got the Atari Grill Master right here.
Yeah, it's like at a 120 degree angle or whatever the hell that is.
God, I don't know. It's just, okay, here's the thing. When you're talking about a new console or a new gaming hardware, likening it to a grill is probably not the first thing you want done about it.
Is a grill.
Man, I
don't know. I'm like, if I do get one of these, I might have to lean towards the red and black one because, damn.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to lie, though, like, even though it is kind of like, it's ugly, it's kind of cool at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool looking, but I'm like, we'll see what it does first.
I don't know. Yeah, I want to hear what it does, because right now I'm just not even lukewarm about it. I just don't care. I think it's kind of
so funny that we're getting this much discussion out of like something we know nothing about.
Yeah, it's just because we don't know anything about it, but it's also like we at least know about Atari, and we know that Atari hasn't done anything significant in the gaming industry for years.
I mean, they're getting press, man.
Yeah, they are.
I guess at the end of the day, they're getting press because everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I want to know more. They need to release way more details sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even think they gave us like a vague idea of when this thing's going to be released.
Yeah, this trickling idea of information is just not good. But I guess in the same way, like other big companies have been trickling out information slowly too, and people are still kind of hype about it. Like an example I'm thinking of, Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts 3. You know, that game that will never be released, but we still get information about it. You know, like every year, tune in winter. Tune in for winter time.
Now in development.
Yeah. Now in development again.
I'm just waiting for that Final Fantasy. No, it was a not Final Fantasy 15. Kingdom Hearts 3 uncovered event. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fucking Final Fantasy release date for the release date event.
God, I still can't believe they did that with Final Fantasy 15. I mean, 15's the same way, I guess, right? Because, you know, that game...
Dude, shout out to, like, Greg Miller and, like, Tim Geddes, though, because they had to host that, because they're both guys from Kind of Funny, the podcast.
Right.
And, like, they talked about it on their podcast after it happened, too, because you know how the event happened and, like, the release day got leaked, and then the game ended up getting pushed back anyway.
Yeah.
And... so Tim and Greg on their podcast were like, fuck, guys, like, we went through all that shit, and now, like, we just look like asses because the release date got pushed back another 2 months anyway.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might be what's happening with Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, but instead of, like, announcing a release date and pushing it back, they're just saying, fuck the release date. We'll just, you know, we'll keep pushing it back.
It's probably coming in 2018, but probably not.
So yeah, you saw that new trailer they dropped at Disney Expo, right?
Dude, they diggity dropped it though.
Yeah, that was really cool. So at the end of that trailer, they said coming 2018, which, like, finally, like, thanks. You know, thank you for finally giving me some closure, even though that's a 365-day window.
Honestly, estimating December.
Yeah. I'm expecting, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they push it back to, like, early 2019, like Q1 2019. But
yeah, Q1 20 New Year's Eve 2019.
Like, at least we have some kind of window now, which I think is more than we could say for the past 11 years, 12 years since Kingdom Hearts 2.
You know what's always really funny to me, speaking of release dates, is when people hit up like fucking V or like Reddit and they're like, guys, so-and-so game has a release date. It's December 31st, so-and-so year. Like, motherfucker, like, how many times do we have to tell people it's a placeholder?
Yeah, it's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder. Oh my god, dude, I see it so much. And I guarantee that's what Kingdom Hearts 3 is at right now. It's going to be released on New Year's Eve. But like, what if Tetsuya Nomura is like trolling us? Turns out it actually comes out on New Year's Eve this year.
Yo, that'd be great.
Right at midnight.
That'd be great. I'd buy it. No.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you got a chance to see that trailer, right?
Of course.
It's so good. It's so
dude,
good.
it's so glorious.
It's so good.
Everything about that was just like this is what I want. Just give it to me.
Like, here's the thing. For as much shit as I give Kingdom Hearts 3 for like, oh, it's never going to come out, every time I see a trailer, I'm just like, no, it's so good. I need it.
Not going to lie. Like, that trailer kind of made me want to cry. like honestly though, like the best part of that whole trailer was just hearing Woody and Buzz talk in Japanese.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was some good stuff. No, so let's see, they've confirmed that Toy Story is now in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
If I remember right, it's the very first Pixar based like story that'll show up in Kingdom Hearts. Everything else has been Disney.
They had already announced Tangled and Big Hero 6 before that. I don't know if like,
I think those are both Disney though, right? They're not they're not Pixar.
Oh wait, the Big Hero 6 isn't Pixar?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Toy Story is the very first Pixar story to be in Kingdom Hearts 3, which I think is pretty cool. And they've confirmed that the Kingdom Hearts portion of the Toy Story story, it's weird, is happening after Toy Story 2, I believe.
Between Toy Story 2 and 3.
Right. So they're saying that it's like it could be canon. Like Sora could have always existed.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be canon. That's kind of what they told us.
Right. I think that's really, really cool that they're kind of doing that. Because previously, you know, it was like, this isn't canon. Like Sora never helped, you know, Tarzan save Jane. Like in the real story. Yeah. But I think it's cool that they're kind of making it like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But
dude, like, just the way they recreated that world and that space, it was just so perfect.
It looks like a movie. It looked like
it is identical to the fucking movie.
Yeah, I thought I was watching Toy Story 4 trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it looks so great.
You got a friend in me.
When they were showing off all the combat, though, man, that was so really like cool. I loved it.
It looks so satisfying. So and the thing is, like, dude, it's like just the amount of different gameplay elements that they added in this game is just ridiculous. There's always something going on screen.
Yeah,
always.
It almost looks like overload, you know, like there's too much going on. Like I feel like it takes some time to get used to it and try to parse all the details.
Like, that's kind of always what Kingdom Hearts is towards the end game, though. Like, you play Kingdom Hearts 2 and it gets to the point where you're just basically floating wizard boy,
right,
slinging magic around and blowing shit up. So
yeah, and that's true. I've noticed there's a lot more, like, forms isn't the right word, but, you know, in Kingdom Hearts 3 in that trailer, you saw, like, Drill Punch or, like, that hammer, that Warhammer thing he got. You know, they're, like, it's a lot more interactive, like, ways to change your combat up rather than just, like, drives, which I think is pretty cool. No, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is shaping up to be a banger of a game. I think it's gonna kill it, dude, when it comes out.
I like, honestly, like, based on the gameplay we've been shown so far, even like the part where they showed it was Woody, Buzz, Donald, and Goofy and Sora, like they were all fighting on the roof.
Yeah,
and then like they're like, oh well, they're gonna jump off the roof and it's gonna be a loading screen. Nope. And then you're gonna be on the ground, and they're like, nope, we're just gonna skydive right off there.
Yeah, and they were using the free flow system.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like flow motion and drops and all that good stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think, because here's the thing, we've been getting enough trailers where you see full-fledged combat. You know, I'm pretty sure we've gotten trailers about like at least a year ago, maybe.
It's also worth noting we saw a little bit more of Olympus at the beginning of the trailer too.
Right. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of trailers with a lot of good development in them for a while. So I think it's pretty clear that this game has been in development for a while. I mean, it has been in development for a while, but it's like they're polishing it to such a sheen, like they know that this game can't fail. Not right. In a way where like it's going to sell like hotcakes, but in a way that if this game fails, it will be one of the biggest upsets in the gaming industry, and they cannot have that happen. That'd be such
it's kind of like the Final Fantasy XV situation all over again.
Right. It'd be such a blemish on their record. And like 15, it did have a similar, like, it needed to live up to a high standard. And I think
because they were just throwing so much money at it.
Yeah, and they did it fairly well. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to have to deliver in the same way.
And what was it that I saw? I think they ended up breaking even on Final Fantasy 15 or something.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd love to see more of Kingdom Hearts 3 for sure. But we're obviously a year away, at least a year away probably, from seeing it on store shelves.
Yeah. So and it's just going to be, it's going to be like a Last Guardian moment where like, this is in my hands right now. Like, this is real.
Yeah. Seriously though. But yeah, I think that should wrap it up. I think we should probably lead into the last part of our show. The good old would you rather, or what's the loophole to this would you rather? So what we're going to...
Sans jacked this week, sadly.
Right. So we're going to do what happened on the episode 2 weeks ago where it was just me and Jack, where instead of one person asking the other two a would you rather, we're each going to ask each other a would you rather. And we haven't told each other what these questions are yet as per custom. So, why don't you hit me first, Collin? What do you got?
Okay. Hopefully Jack didn't give this one to you before, but so would you rather save the life of a starving African child that you will never meet, or have an actual working fucking lightsaber?
Oh, lightsaber. Easy. Done. Done deal.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's to me it's not even a question, because here's the thing, like, saving someone I'm never gonna meet, like, it's good, it's a lofty ideal, like good morals and all that, right? But I'm not gonna see the fruits of that labor, and I'm realistic enough to know that I'd like to see the fruits of my labor rather than just, somehow saying I fed this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And feeding a child it's a huge undertaking. It's not just like, here's your KFC number one. Here you go, take it. You're done. You're fed, right?
Here's your KFC number one.
Yeah, here's your number one from KFC. Like, you're done. No, it's a daily thing. You don't just feed a child once and be like, I did it. I raised the child. Done. What?
I'm just kind of thinking about it, man. It's like, yeah, but you could do a lot of shit with that lightsaber, though.
Yeah, you could do a lot with that lightsaber. And like, I wouldn't use it to threaten people or anything, but it'd be cool. Like, imagine cosplaying, right? Like, you'd be the only one at the con with a real lightsaber,
dude. But holy fuck, that's so dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
I can imagine the heat coming off of that thing.
But it'd be so cool. It'd be rad,
dude. Yeah, then you 3 limbs off later.
I don't know. I think because I probably wouldn't even swing the lightsaber around that much, but it'd just be something cool to have and cool. Like, it. Come on, let's be honest. It'd be cool to be able to say like, "Hey, I've got an actual for real working lightsaber back at my place." You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure no one drunk holds it, and we're good.
Yeah, you're gonna be hired for so many bank heists, bro. Cut right through those fucking metal vault doors.
Jesus. That's where your mind goes straight to.
Yeah, it's like, can you cut any faster? I'm going. It reminds me of that the part in GTA 5 where you're underwater and you're like cutting through the metal bars underwater, and you have to break into it is a bank? I can't remember, but
yeah, no, I feel you. Okay, so you ready for a question?
I was born ready.
All right, so this is regarding alcohol. Would you rather be extremely lightweight, like one beer and you're done? Like, that's like, you're just like, the bartender wants to cut you off after one beer. That's how bad you are. or never be able to drink alcohol again. Like from here on out.
I mean, I don't know. Like when you say like I drink one beer, like you're talking like I'm absolutely fucking blackout drunk smashed, or like
yeah, like you will not remember that night when you finish a beer. Like that's as
Jesus
much
Christ.
as you can take. Yeah, I'm talking like super lightweight.
I just don't have a liver anymore. It's fine.
Yeah. Like if you drink a second beer, you would get alcohol poisoning.
Oh my God. I mean, Jesus, I don't even know. Like, would there even be much of a point of drinking at that point? You take one shot of Jack and you're dead, bro. Like,
Yeah.
You are dead.
I mean, as long as that's all you have in the hour, you're fine. Right? Because like a shot has about the same amount of alcohol as a beer, as long as you only like do one or the other within an hour.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess I'd rather just take like the lightweight things just so I can have the possibility. But otherwise, like, I mean, the other option is not drinking at all. And it's like, I mean, I could just do that anyway if I was a lightweight. So,
Right. Okay.
I mean, might as well.
Yeah. Because I mean, the way I see it is if you take the super lightweight option, like at least you'll know so you can pace yourself. Right?
God,
Like-
dude, you're pacing yourself like one sip an hour. Like,
Yeah, you have to pace yourself real hard. But also,
God damn.
drinking would be hella cheap.
hell yeah, it would be. Jesus, like you save so much money on alcohol. It's ridiculous.
Like you buy a 12
Yeah, I'm
pack
still
that lasts you the year.
Yeah, I'm still drinking that 150 well that I got earlier tonight.
my
Yeah,
God.
when'd you get that? Like 4 or 5 fucking hours ago.
Like at that point, the
it's
ice
just
is
water
melted.
now.
Yeah, it's just water. It's just colored water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that should wrap us up, though, for this week's episode of the Tiny Disc Podcast. In lieu of Jack not being here, I'd just like to remind you guys that we're still running that contest. So all you got to do is give us 5 stars on iTunes, follow us on Twitter, tweet at us using the hashtag TDP, and subscribe to our podcast, and you'll be in the running to win a cash prize of some kind. Just give us a review on iTunes, follow Twitter, tweet at us with the hashtag, and you're good to go. And also subscribe. So just keep the entrants coming in, and we'd like to see more people do this, and it'd be pretty cool. You can follow our podcast on Twitter at tinydiscpodcast. You can also email us at tinydiscpodcast@gmail.com. I think that's about everything for Facebook as well, right, Colin?
Yep. So I just got the as of earlier this week, I got the official Tiny Disc Podcast Facebook page up and running. You can go like that page. You can also go follow or join our Facebook group. Just go ahead and ask to join the group, and I'll be sure to approve you. And we'll have. I'm planning on doing some pretty fun discussions in the Facebook group once it gets up and running. And we're already up to 30 likes on the Facebook page, so feeling pretty good about that. I mean, I know it's early, but the Tiny Disc Facebook page has everything you possibly need, links to episodes, and we'll keep it updated to let you know what's going on with us, as well as future projects and future episodes. So see you there.
Yeah. And I think that should be everything for all of our show branding stuff. So Colin, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Collin and Mano, aka at @booboo__55.
There you go. And you can find me, Robert, on Twitter at Pinoptimist, PINOPTIMIST. You can find me on all the social medias at that handle. And that should be it for us for this week. We will still have that spoiler cast after this. So if you are interested again in Castlevania spoilers, feel free to stick around. If not, this should probably be where you should stop. If you're still interested in watching Castlevania and you don't want to be spoiled, stop at the music. So until next week, we'll see you next Thursday.
Hashtag bring Animusha back. Bye, everybody.
welcome to our spoiler cast of Netflix's Castlevania. Castlevania. So,
how would you like to play Castlevania?
4 episodes. Like, it takes, 120 minutes to get... It's like a little movie, right?
Dude, not 120 minutes, more like an hour and like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's short. It's really short. Okay, so I remember last week, Collin, that you had kind of very positive impressions of the show.
Yeah, I actually very much enjoyed the 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I can't say I'm a fan of it. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like what I saw all that much. Really? Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the first episode last week, right, with Jack.
Right. So what was the turnoff for you?
The turnoff? Part of it might just be that, like, I can't be bothered with fantasy TV shows and movies. Like, I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm going to be honest, can't get into Game of Thrones. I think this, like, even though I love Castlevania, this might be suffering the same thing where it's like, to me, it's not fun to watch this kind of stuff. But
it's just not for you.
It might be that, but also after seeing all 4 episodes, at the end, I thought, this doesn't deserve to be 4 episodes. This should have just been 2 episodes, 2 30-minute episodes at most, or maybe just 2 20-minute episodes. I feel like they could have condensed a lot of the details that were really pointless and didn't feel like they contributed to anything. Because it now, to me, feels like I wasted a lot of my time watching it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you feel very strongly about this.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, so yeah, at this point we assume that you've seen all 4 episodes. So I think episode 2, extremely useless. All that really did was build up Trevor to be like, he's a drunk but can fight. That's the only good thing to come out of that.
Character development, man. I don't know. I really enjoyed it because Trevor's character was like, it was hilarious. And I mean, obviously Trevor Belmont's played by Richard Armitage, who does, I think, a really nice job. I don't know, because I think it was like, I wasn't really thinking that he was going to be more of like the cocky ass, like cursing a lot, swearing a lot, getting drunk kind of character. Like, I wasn't planning on the voice acting being that jarring for the series. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that in your face and sort of gritty. And so like I kind of liked that because it was a little bit different than what I was expecting, but in a good way. I don't know. I really like Trevor Belmont's character because, he decides to nut up a little bit next episode or 2. I can't remember if that's 3 or 4. And then he's just like, yeah, so like, I'm going to live up to the family name and start killing shit and like lead this small little militia that I got going on.
And see, that's what bothers me about his character, because I love character development. Like, I think when it's done well, it's one of the most satisfying narrative elements you could have in any story, any movie, any video game, any TV show. But 4 episodes is very short to develop a character. And
so you think the transition was too sudden?
The transition made no sense to me. It was like, it was very obvious at the beginning that he was like, I mean, he's a drunk. He resorts to alcohol, right? So like something bad happened to him previously to make him this way, right? And then all of a sudden he saves a girl and then meets Alucard and is like, I'm going to take up the Belmont name again. I will be a proud son of the Belmonts and I will eradicate all the evil Draculas. It just, to me, it was like, what's your catalyst? Is it just because you saved a woman? Is it just because you've met the son of Dracula who's, Dracula backwards? Like, it didn't feel like a right catalyst, and it felt like such a short time. And it felt like nothing directly happened to Belmont. It's just that he saw these characters and was like, yeah, I guess I could save the world. Why not?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with this argument. He's playing more of like a almost like a Dante from Devil May Cry sort of character, like really lazy bastard. But when he has to step up, he decides to step up. Yeah, you know what I mean. Otherwise, he just doesn't give a shit. That's the kind of vibe I got off of him. So I think since I got that idea in my head, I was just kind of like expecting it, and it just sort of happened. Like I guess that archetype, I just sort of expect that sort of transition, and to me it was just sort of when it was going to hit. And so I guess, and you're not wrong. You're right. It's a short amount of time to develop a character. I agree with that. And I guess I just wasn't really perceiving it that way, just because I kind of saw where the character was. Like, I predicted where the character was going in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, to me, I think they built him up too much to be like the sad drunk who doesn't care about helping people. Well, not necessarily doesn't care about helping people, but it's like to the point where he's resigned to his fate, kind of a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a big swing to go from like, I am a Belmont, like, especially in Castlevania lore, like, if you're a Belmont, you don't give up. Like, you go until you've beaten the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I saw, like, oh, this is a Belmont. Oh, he's resorted to alcohol. Oh, he kind of, like, only drinks now, and he gets into bar fights. Oh, it felt like
he kind of starts out as like the anti-hero archetype.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like he had given up and then all of a sudden got a new life, which was a little jarring to me. And I think part of the reason too that it just didn't sell so well to me is that I actually thought the voice acting was subpar in this show.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I feel like a lot of the lines weren't delivered that well. A lot of the lines kind of felt more like they were read than they were said. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I didn't really think of it that way, but I guess. But
yeah, and sometimes the faces that were drawn, I felt didn't quite fit the voice acting that was attached to it. So there was some kind of disconnect there, to me. And
I think I can agree with that to a certain degree.
Yeah, and I think because the voice acting wasn't sold so hard to me, a lot of it didn't feel good to me. You know, a lot of it was just kind of like boring.
I don't know. I think I sort of liked it more in the sense of like I took it as more of like a shut your brain off and kind of watch this revenge story unfold. And then like badass character comes in, and then more badass character comes in, and everyone just starts whipping ass, and there's gore and blood everywhere. Whip. Just like, yeah, right, exactly. And so I don't know, like, I guess I just kind of went into this series with a different mentality. Like, I didn't have like insanely high expectations. So like, I don't know, what was there made me happy, and I was satisfied, and I was happy watching it, and I would gladly watch more of it personally. But I mean, You definitely are reading into it more than I did, for sure. But I respect that opinion for sure. Like, that you noticed a lot of that stuff, because I didn't. I must not have, just because of that preconceived notion that I had.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I look at that show, I think the best parts, and frankly maybe the only parts that were really worth tuning into, was pretty much the whole first episode, because I think they do a good job of like setting up who Dracula is and why he does what he does and what he does to the human race. I think they set that up very well. I think they could have maybe shortened it a bit and tightened it up a bit, but whatever. And then the final scene where it's Alucard and Belmont fighting each other, like, that scene was pretty neat, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah,
and I think that's maybe the best part of the whole series, of that whole 4 episodes.
Yeah, because the chick's like, oh, this is the warrior we've been looking for, and he's like, nah, bitch, he's a vampire.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm glad that they're throwing in Alucard, for sure. Like, it's good that they're doing that in terms of, like, the lore of Castlevania and all. I don't know. I mean, I'll say that because they ended on Alucard, I'll tune into what season 2 has to offer, but I'm really hoping for more direction with voice acting. Because here's the thing, I know they have very big names like on their voice actors list. They have like a dude from Game of Thrones and all that. But the Game of Thrones actors, like, they're actors. You know what I mean? They're not voice actors. And I think voice acting requires a different mindset than acting. And how to put this? So some people think like voice acting is just my voice. That's all I need to worry about is my voice. Whereas when you're acting, like, you're doing all this other stuff, you're emotioning, you're using your arms and your hands, you're contorting your face to show emotion and all that stuff, right? And
right.
all of that all of that external stuff makes the voice that much stronger and that much like it sells the voice acting a lot more. And conventionally, a lot of people tend to think that I don't need to do all that other bullshit. Like, voice acting is just my voice. I just need to like pound out the words. I can keep a dead face. I can keep my arms at rest. You know, it's whatever. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess in that aspect, it's more of I guess my lack of understanding of how voice acting is done, because I don't know if they actually like look at the animation while they're voice acting, or if like they're reading off the script and then they're animating to that script after they read it. Obviously, like I know when they do dubs of Japanese shows, they already have the animation's already there and they're just kind of like dubbing over it, right? And they just like start at a certain point and then stop at a certain point,
right? And
then they say their lines in between those 2 points. But whereas when they're building this to the ground up, I'm not entirely sure how they do that. So that could play a role if they're not seeing the animation first and kind of like assessing the situation and then putting their voice to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously they got to do the lip syncing and all that to the voices. So I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how that works either, but I do know just from like what I've seen from following a bunch of other voice actors is that voice acting will fail if you think of it only as voice acting. And
right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and when I think of Peter Dinklage, right, from Game of Thrones, he did a character in Destiny 1, if I remember right.
Yeah, he did Ghost,
right? And he's not in that game anymore. They
replaced him with Nolan North.
Yeah, they replaced him with Nolan North because he didn't do that good of a job. And again, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I'm sure he does a fantastic job playing his character in Game of Thrones. Like, I mean, there has to be a reason.
He does. Yeah, yes, he does.
Yeah, there has to be a reason why he's so popular, right? But the fact that when he was given a voice acting gig, he performed, not good enough to the point where they brought in a professional voice actor to replace all of his lines. That kind of speaks to the idea of like, some people consider acting and voice acting to be two separate things, and they do voice acting not as well as they do acting. And I'm getting similar vibes to that in Castlevania here, because I know a lot of these actors are very accomplished people, but I feel like they could perform a lot better in terms of just voice acting here. Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, I don't disagree with you. I just definitely don't think I picked up on enough to really give a good assessment on it. I don't know, because for the most part, I think I enjoyed the voice acting because it wasn't really what I was used to with animation. So like it was kind of like, a lot of times Richard Armitage, when he played Trevor, he was mumbling or kind of like playing it like he would a character or something like that, like in a live action film, and I kind of liked that. I don't know if they, like, some people would find that unsuitable for animation, but I don't know. I guess it had a certain charm to me that I really liked.
Right. And I don't blame you for that too. I will say another positive thing about this show that I wasn't expecting. It was way gory. And
it's insanely gory.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a like, oh God, ew, like why? I was actually a fan of how much they were like, we don't care. That's an eyeball.
Yeah, we don't care. We're just gonna let it fly.
Yeah, he just whipped a dude's eyeball out, and you're seeing an eyeball fall out of a man. So what?
Yeah.
Are you gonna do something about it?
What you gonna do something about it?
Yeah, or
nah, dude.
Like the demons ripping humans in actual half, like all that stuff.
I was like, are we watching Berserk now? Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm actually kind of a fan that they took it that far. Like, I didn't expect them to. I thought it'd be a little bit more like PG-13 in terms of violence.
Right.
But no, they went that full mile, and I kind of commend them for that, and I look forward to more of that in Castlevania Season 2.
Yeah, dude, I honestly, like, I'm looking forward to more of that show. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to give it a chance.
That's fair. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, final verdict. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that should probably wrap us up for the spoiler cast, though. It's definitely a shorter one. Not as much to analyze, I think, as Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, no. Yeah, especially since it was way shorter, and I don't know, just not as much going on, kind of focused on one character, and that's about it.
Right. Yeah, so I think that should wrap us up for the spoiler cast. Thanks for listening if you're still here. And this should wrap us up for this week's episode. Probably won't be a spoiler cast next week. I don't imagine there's one for us.
No, I don't know if there's anything big coming out that we plan on seeing.
Yeah, I mean, War for the Planets of the Apes came out last weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know for sure if we'll do one on that one. So don't look forward to it, I guess. Yeah, that's a thing to say. Don't look forward to that.
Don't look forward to that.
But yeah, tune in next week for another episode of the Tiny Disc Podcast. And until then, we'll see you next Thursday.